Jr., and today we're unveiling a very special vehicle. It has some features that you've never seen in a production car from us before, and some that you've simply never seen anywhere. But before we talk about the vehicle, I'd like to tell you why we're doing this. It's to celebrate the story of my father, Jack Roush. He was born in 1942 and raised in the town of Manchester, Ohio. In the era before my father, the town had prospered by moving freight onto boats and barges that went up and down the Ohio River. But by the time he arrived, interstate highways and the trucking industry had taken over and put this little town into economic turmoil. My father's family was okay, but this wasn't the case for others in the town. It was in the crucible of these humble beginnings that he forged the character that shot him through his young life. Always curious and self-motivated, he learned to be an entrepreneur by forming a lawn mowing business with his younger brother Frank at the age of 11. It was with this little business that he first learned self-reliance and how engines work by maintaining the old and very tired lawnmowers. It was also during this time that he learned the painful truth in where opportunities lie and where they don't. And it was also here that he formed his intense competitive spirit in racing in the local soapbox derbies. Fast forward a decade, and we see that Jack didn't lift off the throttle for one instant. He completed his bachelor's degree at Bree College in Kentucky, got married, and had his first child, Susan. The young family soon moved north to find opportunity in the then booming automotive industry. Not long after arriving, he worked as an engineer for Ford on the new Mustang program. And he worked on nights and weekends on the Ford employee drag racing team called the Fastbacks. It was when working on this team that he met his first business partner, Wayne Gap. The pair would ultimately form their own company, a partnership called Gap and Roush. Their focus was in building and selling drag race engines, and they ran their own race team to show how well these engines ran. They earned a number of prestigious drag racing titles in the early 1970s, including championship wins in the AHRA, NHRA, and IHRA Pro Stock classes. However, partnership wasn't meant to last. In 1976, Jack split off and started his own company, Jack Roush Performance Engineering. Although the name has since changed, this was the beginning of the Roush company that lives on today. During this early phase of the enterprise, the focus was on doing prototype engineering services for the Big Three and building race engines, and not in running its own race teams. The next phase of the company's development came in 1984, when, with the encouragement from Ford, Jack returned to on-track competition, but this time it was in road racing. The series were the SCCA, IMSA, and Trans Am series. Here are a few highlights from this storied part of Roush's racing history. 10 victories at the prestigious Daytona 24-hour race, winning each of the 10 times that Roush entered. 24 national championships, 12 manufacturers championships, 119 race victories. And the teams worked with many highly acclaimed drivers, including Tommy Kendall, Scott Pruitt, Willie T. Ribbs, Wally Dallenbach Jr., Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, Ricky Rudd, Kyle Petty, Dorsey Schrader, Robbie Gordon, as well as actor Paul Newman. It was this success in road racing that caused Ford to later encourage Jack to field a team in NASCAR as well. He eventually did so in 1988 with driver Mark Martin. The partnership with Mark yielded 35 NASCAR event victories, and there have been many other great drivers on the Roush teams over the years as well, including Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch, both winning NASCAR Cup championships, and also including Greg Biffle, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Trevor Bayne, Carl Edwards, Jeff Burton, Ryan Newman, and many others. With over 400 professional racing victories and 32 championships, my father has built a legacy in racing that is very special. Now, one thing to note about my dad. He's fiercely competitive, but he's also very humble. He's not one to boast, Instead, he rightly recognizes the great people who've been on our team. I have to say though, it's great to see his and their accomplishments being recognized. Earlier this year, I got to see him get inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame for his long list of accomplishments in stock car racing. Just 1 month earlier, IMSA invited him to the start of the 24 Hours of Daytona for his amazing record there. And the story is far from over. He still shows that deep passion for excelling on the track, and the same is true of our company culture overall. Today, Roush Performance would like to pay tribute to my dad for the road that he has paved with uncompromising standards and an undying will to win. Sometimes to move forward, you've got to look back and recognize how much has been accomplished. Our team made the unanimous decision that there is no better way to honor my dad than to engineer the best vehicle we have ever built, which we proudly call the Jack Roush Edition. Now let's talk about the car, starting with the numbers. US production will be limited to 60, while international builds will be limited to 10. It's 775 horsepower. This is the most powerful Roush Mustang ever. And with the optional competition package, this vehicle can pull 1.14 Gs on the skid pad. The competition package features a lightweight forged racing style wheel from Weld, along with Continental Extreme Contact DR racing slicks. It also has massive cooling upgrades, including our all-new fender vents, more aggressive hood vents, and 2 additional radiators. One is an LTR and another for the engine. Other cooling upgrades include both diff and trans coolers. The suspension is an all-new Roush calibrated MagneRide system. Rear downforce is upgraded with an active aerodynamic carbon wing. And the unique appearance package will make sure that this ride stands out from the crowd. We have the honor of having Mark Martin with us here today. As I mentioned before, Mark played one of the most critical roles in our racing history. Not only is Mark a brilliant driver, but he shows a level of class in such a competitive sport that it is widely recognized and appreciated. In my dad's own words, Roush Racing would have neither survived in NASCAR nor become the powerhouse that it is, except for Mark Martin's competitive drive, patience, and determination to stay at my side for more than 19 years. Thanks, Mark, for being a great friend for so many years and for being here.
In 1987, I was a struggling race car driver. Jack Roush was determined to put together a NASCAR team. And I had dreams of being a NASCAR driver and winning a race one day. And Jack Roush gave me the opportunity to become a small part of Roush Racing and be a small part in helping him build that organization. It gave me the opportunity to race to win, something that I wanted so badly. And Jack and I went through an awful lot in those early years. In times when there weren't any team affiliations, no technical alliances, you just had to figure it out on your own. And we were blessed to have some really great people working in that organization in the beginning of 1988. And by 1989, we were close and got our first win. And I'll never forget that. And like Jack just said, we spent 19 years battling shoulder to shoulder. And we saw a lot, and we did a lot. And it's really a special time for me to be able to be here and be a part of this announcement. It's really, really cool. I will never, ever forget the opportunity I had to be that close to Jack Roush and have someone that smart to help mentor me and someone to learn from like Jack. He had a lot in shaping who I turned out to be, and certainly in shaping my career. If it wasn't for Jack Roush, I don't know for sure what would have happened. And so I just want to, say thank you to everybody that's here, and I can't wait to see this special car.
Do it.
Thanks, Mark. And with that, we'd like to introduce the 2020 Jack Roush Edition Mustang.